a memorandum from Public Works which describes ways that if they chose to develop, how the developer could bring those services to the property. So staff is recommending that council modify the boundary of what was the original request to that one that is shown in Exhibit B of your packet. The recommended action is quite lengthy, and I apologize for that, but the RCWs require that it's specifically stated in the minutes of the meeting exactly what council's action is. Therefore, the recommended action is to make a motion to accept the notice of intent to commence annexation conditioned on the amended boundary as shown in Exhibit B of your packet, simultaneous adoption of the pre-planned city zoning, the city zoning regulations, and comprehensive plan designation, the assumption of all or any portion of existing city indebtedness, and the assessment and taxation at the same rate and on the same basis as property within the city of Washougal, and that you authorize the circulation of an annexation petition.
So moved.
Second.
So we're taking items 1 and 2 together?
Don, do you have any problem with that?
That was the motion. I assumed was to include both 1 with the subparts and 2.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Any discussion, Molly?
Yes, I would just like to make sure that the citizens are aware that this is just one step in many steps. And so this is not a final action by a long shot, really. So this process we take, and with council approval, it moves through the process one step at a time. So I just want to make sure that everyone's aware of that.
Michael?
In the workshop, we were discussing this process, and by the way, I don't have any objection to this annexation that I can see. But there was one thing that I wanted to clarify, if that's possible. It was with regards to the Resolution 937, which is our amended annexation policy. And it was referenced in that workshop, I believe it was referenced as requiring us to have a systemic approach to annexation, so it can't just be willy-nilly. And in reading that resolution, my understanding is actually the systemic approach is only about the calendar. Was there something beyond that? Because there's part of me that says that it would make sense for a previous council or for RCWs to require us to have set guidelines for which ones we do and which ones, I mean, the conditions which we would reject annexation. Mm-hmm. Do you have any idea, I mean, any guidance there about any other policies that we're required to follow with regards to the annexation process?
Well, there used to be a boundary review board, but it no longer exists. The county commissioners have disbanded that, and they had criteria for approval and conditions of annexation, and we use those same ones. And also, I do have municipal research has recommendations of how to handle annexations. But you are correct, the policy that we have now, it has, although it has a few items that it encourages us to think about, like the logical boundaries, it's meant to have a system or a process to accept them and review them once a year and review them all together. So right. I can provide the MRSC information to you if you'd like.
Well, also, with regards to that, if that's the city staff's job mainly to deal with that criteria, that's going to be okay with me. I just wanted to make sure that when it comes to the legislative body following some system, that if we're going to follow some system, that we know exactly which policies we're following. And so far, I don't see any objection to this annexation whatsoever. So, thank you.
Well, the MRSC policies are based on RCWs, so I can send you that that number.
Thank you.
That'll probably be helpful for everybody, Joanne, as we proceed through this, regardless where it goes. Other comments by council? I know the Carrolls are here this evening. Steve, Renee, before we go to a vote on this, is there anything that this certainly affects you directly and specifically, so anything you'd like to
can think of nothing to say. Joanne and staff have done a great job, it appears, packaging all the facts together, and I don't know that we have anything to add to that.
Perfect. If there are no other council comments or questions, I've got a motion and a second to, basically to approve the staff recommendations. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And Agenda Bill 128-10, the award of the E Street Improvements Project bid to West Tech Construction. Mr. Evers.
Thank you, Mayor Guard and council members. On August 26th, we opened bids and received 11 bids on the project, ranging from $4.5 million to $6.1. The engineer estimate for the 26-block corridor improvement was $5.7 million. So we were 17 to 18% below the engineer estimate, and that does include the add alternate of reconstructing the intersection of River Road and E Street. The recommended action this evening is to award the contract for E Street to West Tech Construction and authorize the mayor to sign the award and contract documents. Staff is working on a couple of enhancements for the project, specifically from River Road to 32nd Street. As it sits right now, we're looking to do some grind and micro sealing over the surface. And where the bids came in at, we'll be looking at potentially a grind inlay, which is similar to an overlay with asphalt aggregate for that block from 17th or River Road to 32nd Street, as well as potentially some enhancements at 24th Street for water line connecting Main Street to E Street. So we're working with Transportation Improvement Board as well as staff and the other funding agencies on those scenarios. But at this time, it is fully funded.
Council?
I just had a question. Who is West Tech? I mean, they're from Portland, and I know in workshop you said that they were doing a project on Northwest 23rd. Did you get a chance to look into that at all?
I looked at it on the website, City of Portland's website, engineering division. Similar project. Obviously, the infrastructure over there is a little bit older, but they do have railroad ties and enhancements of sidewalk and then resurfacing of that busy street, 23rd, where there's a lot of retail and restaurants.
Mr. Mayor, before we go any further, we need a motion in a second.
Make a motion to accept the award for East Street Improvements Project bid at West Tech Construction.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any other council comments? Question? Yes.
Trevor, I just want to recover some old ground here and make sure I'm on the right track. This is done using stimulus money, ARA funds?
Currently, we have a application in with USDA, which is rural development for the water line specifically. We'll hear on that funding within the next 2 weeks. I've worked with Finance Department, RJ and Jennifer specifically, on a parallel funding package, council manic bond, revenue bond, as far as our needs if USDA doesn't come through. So short of the water line improvements, there's no other dollars attached to stimulus or relief act on this project.
Okay, and that's my second question. The focus of this project is the road diet, the curbs and the sidewalks, or does it also include the improvements to the water mains?
Both are inside of the low responsive bid.